Hello and welcome to this guided walk audio recording. My name is Dr. James McAfee, a physical therapist with MovementX and an instructor with AgeProof Your Body, our online exercise community designed to help people 60 and older move and live their best across the lifespan. Thank you so much for joining me today. For the next 10 to 15 minutes or so, we are going to essentially take a walk together. And during this time, I'll share some cues and insight, some thought exercises for you to ponder and practice both on this walk and on future walks. So I hope that you find it valuable. So hopefully you are mostly ready to begin your walk. Your shoes are tied, your phone and keys are safely stored, and you're hearing me clearly with comfortable headphones. If not, go ahead and pause and join back with us when you're ready to go. Before we begin our walk, we'll start with a quick body scan in order to notice any physical sensations happening currently in our bodies. So starting from a normal standing position, we'll scan each body part going from our toes up to our head. So beginning at the feet, we can begin to notice the earth underneath us, pushing through the soles of our shoes. We can wiggle our toes, rock forward and backward or side to side, and feel the pressure of the earth pushing back through our shoes into our feet. This is our base of support. This is our connection to the ground. When we walk, this base of support will be moving, so every new step will be a new base of support. In this static position, let's just be aware of this base of support currently and see how that feels in your body. Moving up the body, we can draw awareness to our knees and to our hips. Both of these joints are really going to benefit from this walk together. These joints love to move as it's how they receive nutrients in the body. So to warm up and draw awareness to that area, perhaps you can do a couple mini squats, just noticing the subtle bending in the knees and the hips. Moving up further, we can notice our abdomen and our trunk, our shoulders and our neck. These areas rotate and swing to counteract the movement of our lower body as we walk, while our head is both stable and mobile so that we can focus and scan different parts of our environment while we move. Take a couple deep breaths here as we think about inhaling fresh, nourishing oxygen and offloading some of our waste products in the form of carbon dioxide. Note that we're going to be breathing throughout this guided walk, and the breath is always a good area on which to focus your attention. Finally, take note of your environment, your starting position. Make note of the current sights and sounds around you. And you can visualize your planned route. Again, we'll shoot for about 10-15 minutes, a comfortable, familiar walk to you. And just take that moment of appreciation of your environment and your body inside of it. And without further ado, let's get moving. Let's start our watches and let's begin our walk. As we begin, just want to say first off, congratulations. These first steps are often the most difficult. So shout out to you for joining me today and for giving your body this movement. Walking, as we know, is one of the best overall exercises that we can do for our body and mind. For most people, it's accessible, it's functional, and it's enjoyable. Hippocrates called walking man's best medicine. Medicine has obviously come a long way since this time, but the fact remains that walking is unquestionably good for you. The long list of benefits include improved cardiovascular health, remembering that the heart is a muscle that we can train. Our bodies receive nutrients and oxygen through circulation. So, the vascular side of cardiovascular health is our blood vessels' ability to carry the oxygen that we receive through our lungs and eventually ending up in our muscles of our body. So just appreciating that cardiovascular piece, I think, is one of the key benefits that we'll find with walking. Improved pulmonary health and oxygen delivery to those muscles. Improved bone and joint health, noting that the lubrication and nourishment that happens in our joints of our lower body primarily is one of the key benefits to walking. improved mood and energy levels, improved metabolism, thinking about especially burning some of our fat stores to receive energy when we walk, improved sleep, slowed cognitive decline and lowering our risk for dementia and Alzheimer's disease, and improved longevity. And for all of these reasons, with MovementX and AgeProof Your Body, we are very much trying to help people improve and maintain their ability to walk for the rest of their lives. And the best way to do that is to keep practicing and to keep putting yourself in that environment and position, that mindset towards, I'm going to be moving today intentionally in order to improve my health. Walking, in addition to directly benefiting our health, can also be used as a measure of health, something that we can use to put ourselves on different scales of functional ability and well-being, as well as life expectancy. In other words, how well you are walking right now might indicate your longevity. One huge scientific review looked at 9 different studies that compiled individual data from 34,000 community-dwelling older adults, as a flock of geese just landed in the river nearby, if you hopefully heard some of that. This study looked at 34,000 community-dwelling adults, followed up with them anywhere from 6 to 20 years, and looked at any correlation between their walking speed and their life expectancy. And what they found was that gait speed, or walking speed, was associated with survival in every single study. And even improvements as low as 0.1 meters per second, or 0.2 miles per hour, were helpful in predicting survival. And how they explain this is the following. This is a quote from the study. Why would gait speed predict survival? Walking requires energy, movement control, and support, and places demands on multiple organ systems, including the heart, lungs, circulatory, nervous, and musculoskeletal systems. Slowing gait may reflect both damaged systems and a high energy cost of walking. Gait speed could be considered a simple and accessible summary indicator of vitality because it integrates known and unrecognized disturbances in multiple organ systems, many of which affect survival. So if walking speed is such an important measure of health, the question is, how fast should we be walking? And in the physical therapy world, we often point to this number 0.8 meters per second or 1.8 miles per hour as a minimum requirement for community ambulation. So being able to cross the street using a crosswalk, 0.8 meters per second or 1.8 miles per hour is a good number to shoot for as a minimum for you to be able to walk around your community. Typically, 1.8 miles per hour is a good minimum goal to shoot for. 2 miles per hour translates to a 30-minute mile. That's another good goal if we just round up from 1.8. And then 3 miles per hour is a 20-minute mile, essentially. So that might look more like a power walk, like an intentional fast walk. So that's another good number to have on your radar of different goals to shoot for. Walking speed is velocity. It's distance over time. So we can do our own calculation if we'd like, if we have our normal route, and we can time ourselves along that route. Though when we want to measure walking speed, a lot of GPS will measure that distance and time for us. So our smartphones potentially might have this built-in capability. iPhones specifically, in the health app, I was digging around there earlier, and I did find that it gives you an average walking speed. So if you're walking with a phone in your pocket, that phone is capable of finding the distance and finding the time. So it will essentially calculate the walking speed for you. We can also vary the speed, right? So if we think about interval walking, referring to small intervals where we can potentially increase our speed or decrease our speed if we need to recover and rest. Increasing speed will challenge all these body systems slightly more. If we can include those in our walk, that'll be hugely beneficial to challenge even further some of these systems. So even looking at the trash can ahead, the stoplight ahead, the trees, or any other thing that happens to be in your field of vision, walk fast to that object. And then once you hit that object, you can slow down. And that challenge, that little challenge of increasing the demand and the speed, and then being able to let your body recover after that. That's a really good process to have, and it does keep the walk somewhat interesting. Another thing that we can measure about walking is our number of steps. So if we just count the volume of steps that we accumulate during the day, 10,000 is often referenced as a good goal to shoot for. Though in researching this in our AgeProof community, we uncovered that 10,000 step count is not really based on any scientific literature. In fact, it was first found in the 60s or 70s from a Japanese accelerometer marketing campaign. They shot for a goal of 10,000 in this particular instance, and that number has sort of followed throughout, some of the accelerometers, and, everyday modern technology often points to that as a goal number. But when we looked further into the literature, we found that 7,000 is often a more proven goal to shoot for, as 7,000 steps per day is often where the most change occurs. So the positive benefits that we get with walking, we can often see those happening once we shoot to achieve 7,000 steps per day instead of 10,000 steps per day. 10,000 steps per day, of course, is a great goal, and we can think about beyond 7,000 steps. That's going to still really count towards our health benefits of walking, though we don't want to get down on ourselves if we can't achieve that 10,000 goal. It's important that we set achievable goals for ourselves, and 7,000 steps is a solid one to start with. So consider 7,000 as a goal per day of number of steps to get. Another number to keep in mind as we walk is step cadence. So essentially the number of steps that we take in a minute, the frequency of steps. And we can appreciate that everyone's gait speed and cycle will look and feel a little bit different, but naturally there's going to be some similarities across all humans as they walk. The number that we can have in mind with regards to step cadence, a good average or sort of normal range to potentially identify, is 100 beats per minute. So if we think about that natural rhythm that's occurring with every step contacting the ground, usually it's fairly regular if we're walking at consistent speed, but that number can be somewhere around that 100 beats per minute as one to shoot for. So if you would like to Google a metronome or pull open a metronome app to help determine what your cadence might be, but shoot for 100 beats per minute, or at least see what that would feel like in your body and potentially how that feels compared to your normal. There's a lot of song opportunities to match your steps with. So a lot of songs that are 100 beats per minute can be easily Google searched or referenced on Spotify, for instance. Dancing Queen by ABBA, Sweet Home Alabama as well. Those are two examples that as you walk, you can kind of imagine those songs playing and your steps kind of matching that regular rhythm. Related to step cadence, we can now talk about incorporating our breath. So one of my favorite mindful exercises to practice while walking relates to our breath cadence. So if we notice this natural rhythm of our steps, we can count the number of steps that we take when we inhale and when we exhale. We have our feet operating as this metronome as we're moving, so why don't we count a 4-count inhale, or rather a 4-step inhale and a 4-step exhale. So as we get going, it's an inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. So we can align our breath with our walking rhythm in order to, again, draw our attention back to the breath, back to our bodies, but also to send our body that message of awareness to our breath, using our breath as another measure of how hard our body feels like we're working. And if we can send a message to the body as we walk of calm, of control, we can do that by breathing easy, by hopefully keeping the mouth shut and breathing through our nose. Some of those practices can be really helpful to increase our endurance, as well as bring our mind back to our body in the present moment. So the breath cadence exercise is one of my favorite ways to draw our awareness back to the breath as we walk. We'll conclude today with another body scan, but this time in motion. So starting at the feet, now we can appreciate the feet absorbing the ground as we move. Heels land first and we rock off of the toe at the end of our step. But notice the foot's complex role in being adaptable to meet whatever the ground throws at us. If we're on an uneven ground or on grass, there's potentially roots. But our feet have this very important role of being adaptable, but also being stable as we propel ourselves forward. Our feet must be strong, and we'll potentially feel that in our heels and our feet and our calf muscles. Bringing attention to the knees and the hips, we can again appreciate their important role in helping propel us forward and keep every step consistent and stable. Our muscles are working, and our joints are also receiving a lot of nourishment through this subtle motion of bending and straightening. Just make a note of your posture and how you're standing, how your upper body is moving in conjunction and potentially to counteract the rotation of the lower body as well. Notice the abdominals working as well. The core muscles exist as the cylinder in your midsection. All of those muscles working together to keep your body stable as your legs are moving. Notice your arm swing opposite the leg swing, and noticing the alignment of your head and neck on top of your shoulders. Staying tall is a good point to practice, and making sure that your head is both stable when it needs to be stable and focused on a particular object, but also the head can be mobile as we're checking both ways. If we're crossing the street, if we're scanning the environment and looking at the beauty around us potentially, those are different ways that our bodies must be agile. And our neck, specifically our head, is where we receive a lot of information through our eyes and ears. So directing our head through the rotation of our neck can be a really important thing to focus on. Note the difference between when our gaze is focused 10-15 feet in front of us and we're exactly sure of what's ahead, versus if we're scanning the environment, rotating our head right to left. Often that changes our balance, and that changes our information that we're getting from the environment, and that may give some people some trouble. So just notice that difference of where is my head position, where is my gaze, and what am I achieving with that? Potentially I'm purposefully looking out into the expanse and appreciating the nature around me. As we prepare to conclude our walk today, hopefully we're arriving closer to our final destination. A note of gratitude. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found today's conversation valuable. We talked about the multitude of benefits that walking provides for our different body systems, the opportunity that walking allows to check in with our current and future health, as well as to appreciate our bodies moving in the present moment. If you're curious to learn more about MovementX, you can head to movement-x.com. We are a nationwide community of providers that help people move their best in order to live their best life. And AgeProof Your Body at AgeProofYourBody.com, which is our online exercise community. We are hoping to reimagine the aging process by helping individuals move their best across the lifespan, knowing that we can affect the aging trajectory, one that's often associated with decline, either physical or cognitive. We are hoping to help people change the trajectory of that line. By moving better today, we can improve our longevity and the fulfillment that we have in our lives for the rest of our lives. So thank you so much for joining, and have an awesome rest of your day.